Hello and welcome. I'm starting a few minutes early so that I can get everything going in here. Let you know I am Cheryl Locke. Welcome to Amazon Live. We are going to have a great day today. For all of those that suffer from trigeminal neuralgia, this is your day to bring awareness to your condition. I know that it's a very rare disease because I have it. And thank goodness I'm doing better. But I wanted to kind of get on, show you some products that those of us with trigeminal neuralgia use, tell you a little bit about how it affected my life, what it is, so that we can bring awareness to it to help find a cure, to find better treatments, to just let you know. Because there's a lot of people that have trigeminal neuralgia and they go undiagnosed for years. I belong to a lot of Facebook groups that talk about trigeminal neuralgia. There are people who suffer with it daily. And I've even asked a bunch of them, what would you want people to know about it? And so I'm going to be reading some of those today. And yeah, kind of filling you in on this. I don't know if it's called a disease or a disorder, but I want people to know about it because it's life changing, to say the least. Life changing. I don't know how else to put it. So yes, I brought up a few items because that's what we have to do here on Amazon. And the first one is my Breville juicer, which got me through many, many days. Without that juicer, when I can't eat, it stinks. So had to get that in there for you. But if you're just tuning in, I am Cheryl Locke, located in the Las Vegas, Nevada area. I suffer from trigeminal neuralgia. As of July 1st, I had MVD surgery, and so far, I'm doing good. But for those of you wondering what trigeminal neuralgia is, it is a disorder of the fifth cranial nerve. In fact, I was one, I didn't even know that nerve existed until October 13th, 2020. I ended up in the ER. I'd been having a lot of pain and I thought I had a sinus infection. So I laid on the couch. I steamed. I tried all of those things and it wasn't getting better. And after about 3 weeks, I finally said, I think I'm going to have to go to the emergency room. Couldn't take the pain anymore. It was excruciating. I thought my sinuses are infected and they're just getting worse and worse and worse. Went to the ER and I was one of the lucky ones. I went in and the doctor on duty happened to know about trigeminal neuralgia and I was trying to explain to him what it felt like, what this pain was, and he looks at me and he says, "Have you ever heard of trigeminal neuralgia?" And I said, "Nope." He says, "That's what you have." I'm like, "Can I take an antibiotic for it? What do I do for it? How do I make it stop? I can't take it." He gave me a prescription. Said, "Here, this will work till you get to your doctor, and your doctor will send you to a neurologist, and they'll get you hooked up." Well, that sounds simple, but it's not. So that's why I'm here today talking about it, because there are approximately, from what things online say, 10,000 to 15,000 people in the United States are diagnosed with it each year, which you may think that's a lot of people. That really isn't a lot of people. And the thing is, a lot of people are not diagnosed, they are not diagnosed correctly. So, therefore, we don't know how many people actually have it. We just know how many are on record as being diagnosed. So, I uh, I was hearing noises in the background. Today, of all days, because I had this event planned to bring awareness to this disorder, show you some cool products that can help people with trigeminal neuralgia get through their day. They're doing construction right outside my house. So I have a lot of noise going on. Forgive me. It happens. But trigeminal neuralgia, I'm not giving medical advice. No medical advice. I can't do that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a neurologist, a neurosurgeon. I'm none of those things. In fact, I have 0 medical degrees. So all I can do is tell you what has happened with me so that maybe you can understand it if you have it yourself, if you're new to it, if you have a friend or a family member that has it, you're going to want to know. Maybe they're going undiagnosed and you can start looking into this and maybe suggest it to a doctor if that's what you think you or someone you know has, because it's a debilitating disorder. It changes your life. It can take you from a very active me, going out to car shows every weekend, going out and doing my videos, my pictures, talking with friends, even things like this, talking on video, all of a sudden came to a halt. For one, it caused pain. And even the days where I thought, I feel pretty good, I'm going to go out and it'll be fine. It doesn't work that way. It could be anything sets off a flare and you're in extreme pain. For me, I could go out and have a breeze touch my face, even in the summer. That breeze, the air conditioner, just blowing a little bit of fan, anything could set it off. Eating, talking, uh, accidentally touching my face. I could laugh. Don't do that. That can cause extreme pain. So it could be anything. So not only does, if you're in a flare, does the pain stop you, but also if you have that fear of the pain. There were a lot of things I thought, oh, I want to go do it. And it's like, nope, it's windy out. Nope, something might set it off. And the pain is so excruciating that it terrifies you. So I don't know if anybody watching has dealt with trigeminal neuralgia. I actually hope you haven't. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So, anyway, it is October 7th, 2021, Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness Day. Facial pain awareness is the whole month of October. Today is Trigeminal Neuralgia Day. So, back to my story because I figured I'd give it a little bit. Get started. I know I started a little early, but it's okay. So, anyway, October 13th is my 1 year anniversary for being diagnosed. Had extreme pain, went to the ER. The doctor knew exactly what it was, prescribed me medication. The first medication I was prescribed, I had a reaction to. The only 1 to 4% of the people that take this medication have a reaction to it. I happen to have it, it dropped my sodium, which meant I almost ended up in the ER again for having low sodium from the medication that I had to take away the pain. I got kind of depressed thinking, what am I going to do? I have this extreme pain, and the only way I knew of at the time to curb it was through this medication that my body couldn't deal with. So I ended up lowering that medication, taking sodium tablets. I went to a general GP, and she's the one that figured out it was my sodium. I couldn't walk. I couldn't finish a sentence. My vision was blurred to the point of I was changing glasses because I have three different sets of glasses, and I kept changing them thinking I had on the wrong glasses. I would look at them and think, whose glasses did I put on? It was the low sodium that was causing the issue and the medication. So we finally got that down, but then that meant the medication wasn't strong enough. By the time I lowered it to keep my sodium up, the medication wasn't strong enough to help with the pain. They sent me for an MRI, and then they started looking for me a neurologist because my GP had never heard of this disorder in her life. This is a doctor that normally, if I hadn't ended up in ER, I may have went to, and she's never even heard of this disorder. So that's where a lot of people have a problem, is they have this facial pain, and the pain I had felt like someone stabbing an ice pick in my ear. Now, that ice pick was hooked to a car battery. So it was a stab, a shock, and then it would shoot up and go across my temple and come out right over here and stab again. It went under my eye, and it was the one under my eye was almost constant. Then it comes down, and it feels like it's prying your top teeth out. When it comes from underneath, it pried my bottom teeth out. So basically, with the stab in the ear, hooked to an electrical battery, and then it was kind of like eagle talons scraping across my face. Now, when you read about trigeminal neuralgia online, it says these pains just last for a second or two. It's a shock for a second or two. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to feel. And I do believe once I got going and started understanding the disorder, that is uh, pretty much how it started. But by the time I realized I was in pain, if those were a couple of seconds, the problem was they never ended. And that would be days and weeks at a time, never ending. It was just one after the other, after the other, after the other. So you're in constant pain. At least I was. So ended up trying to explain this to the doctor, which she kind of looked at me like I was nuts, but she was Googling as fast as she could. And she kept saying, but it says. Yeah, I know what it says online. I already read it. Didn't matter. But she did the best she could. She got me sent for an MRI. She got me a referral to a neurologist. Now, the neurologist's office I went to, and I am not naming names. Trust me, I ain't going to name no names, but I don't think they knew much about it, honestly. They, I saw 5 different neurologists in the same office. Each time I went in, I saw a different neurologist, whoever happened to be available. And honestly, I don't think they really knew much about it. I felt that way from the beginning, that I'm teaching these people and they're reading it from Google, whatever they find, and they're trying to tell me what I feel and what the disorder is. I was even questioned as to, how do you know this is what you have? Uh, how do you know, you know, we haven't diagnosed you, somebody else did. We don't know for sure. Well, it's invisible. You can't see it. They couldn't look at me and tell what it was. You have to go by the pain symptoms, and they weren't willing to, most of them weren't really willing to listen. when I told them what it felt like, they had a tendency to say, but it should only last for a second. That told me right there. They don't, they're reading it out of a book, off a page on the internet. It's not common enough that a lot of them know about it. So their solution was more meds. Well, I was already taking one med and it wasn't quite doing it. So they upped it little by little to see if how much my body could tolerate while I still took sodium and trying to keep it all level. And that worked for a little bit. And then I'd get what they called breakthrough pain. Those in the trigeminal neuralgia groups and that live with this every day, we call it flares. And a flare, like I said, can be started by anything. Something touchy. Some of the people in the group, their hair, they'll cut their hair short because of hair rubbing across their face. The wind, eating, just laughing, talking. It can be anything can set off a flare. That flare may just be a little bit, or it can last for days and weeks. When it starts lasting like that and your regular meds aren't working, a lot of times I would have to go back into the neurologist, have to call and make an appointment, which meant I could be 3 or 4 days already into a flare. The pain so bad that I would just lay on the couch. I could not function. I could not move. I was terrified to move. Uh, I've laid in bed in the dark knowing that I wanted to cry, but if I cried, it would make it hurt worse because stress is a big one that will send it off. So you just lay in bed and tears roll down your face as you're hoping the pain just stops. But it doesn't. I end up getting an appointment, going to my neurologist, where I go in and they're like, I hope it's going to get better. Here, give me a prescription. Sometimes, depending on who I saw, I'd have to tell them what prescription I wanted because they didn't know. Start taking that prescription. It'd be a pack where you take it for 7 days. Sometimes I could take 2 days in and the pain start easing. Other times I'm 6 days in. So I could be up to a week, 2 weeks of this flare before I got relief. And in the meantime, it means a lot of eating pain pills, a lot of not being able to eat. So you juice everything or you just go without. And that's not healthy because then you get tired, then you get stressed. All of those things make the pain worse. It's a vicious cycle. So my neurologist, as I went through them one by one, finally they just, like I said, kept upping the one med. When I couldn't take any more of it, they gave me a second med. So now I'm on 2 meds, painkillers, and I still have to go and get breakthrough pain packs of steroids. And that's how they wanted to treat me for the rest of my life. It's just adding more meds, giving me more meds, upping the dosage to amounts that are unbelievable. And the meds they have you take for these tend to make you, I don't know how to put it. I I had no urge to do anything. I They made me tired. They made me dingy. I couldn't function. My thought process would get confused. But my choice was to have excruciating pain where I laid on the couch or take these meds that make me unable to function. I didn't know if there was much else I could do. And looking, I see why when people get this disorder and they're diagnosed and they wonder, is this my life? And they get depressed. And some people have lost family, friends, spouses all over this disorder because nobody can see it. Nobody really understands. They say everywhere you look will tell you this is the most painful disorder you can have, the excruciating pain. And part of that is because normal nerves, when they, before you get a pain in a nerve, before that pain gets to your brain, there's little stops that kind of decipher it and lessen it before it gets to your brain. With the trigeminal nerve, it's in your brain. There is no stops. There's nothing to lessen it. So it's right there. No ifs, ands, or buts. So you don't even, it can't even compare to like sciatica. I've had bouts of sciatica and I thought they were bad. Nope, not compared to this. I've birthed babies without medication. That wasn't bad compared to this. But they don't know what to do. And when you get that depressed, thinking, I'm going to live with this forever, they're going to keep upping my meds. They're going to take every ounce of life I have away. And when you try to tell someone what it's like and how you feel, I don't think they can understand. I couldn't understand. I would have never been able to understand until it happened to me. So, yeah, people can't work. They're calling in or they have to go home because they have a flare. Their spouses leave because they don't know how to deal with it. And how do you deal with someone who is in that state of mind from the meds and still having extreme pain? And there's nothing that a spouse can do for you. There's nothing a parent can do except try to find you better treatments. And that's something that why we have Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness Day is because we need better treatments. Trust me, we do. I'm one of the lucky ones. So far, I'm doing good. We'll see. Some people, though, aren't so lucky. When they start, a lot of the trigeminal neuralgia people have the pain that is down in here. And so they think they have a toothache because it honestly feels to me like my teeth were being pried out. And so they go to the dentist. The dentist will do root canals. They will pull your teeth. They will tell you maybe you have TMJ. They they have all of these solutions, but it's not the cause. So they're not treating what is wrong with you. They're treating what it sounds like. I mean, if I went to a dentist and said, "Feels like my teeth are being pried out," of course they're going to think I have bad teeth. Has nothing to do with the teeth. It has to do with that nerve just is sending whatever signals it wants, and that's what it was. So that's one of the things I would like to get out there is anybody that is having, if you're having a lot of facial pain, and it will be normally on one side. So you're going to have it just on mine over here on the right side. There are a few people that have bilateral where they have it on both sides, but normally you're going to notice one side is dominant. Like I said, in case you're just tuning in, mine felt like a stab in my ear and then ripping across my face, coming here. These sensations can be the teeth being pried out, burning, extreme itching, and not like an itch from a little bug bite. This is extreme deep itching where you want to dig in under your skin. I would have eye burning, like it was on fire. I felt like I was on fire around my lips. The different feelings are like, well, different for everybody. You can't, what happened, what I felt isn't what everybody else feels. Everybody has their own way, and it's, I think, basically just the nerve, whatever feeling it gets is what happens. So it's very hard to diagnose. I happened to, like I said, go to the neurologist. They wanted to keep upping my pills. I finally put my foot down and told them no. I don't want more pills. I can't function. I wasn't safe to drive. I couldn't always even get out and walk because I was so confused. I didn't feel as if I was thinking straight. So I finally had to tell him, no, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to keep taking more and more meds. And the final straw was when the last neurologist I saw, he wanted to up the med that lowered my sodium. And I said, but I can't take that. He says, you'll be fine. I'd almost ended up in the emergency room once because of my reaction, but he didn't care because that's how you treat trigeminal neuralgia. Finally, he sent me to an interventional radiologist to read my MRI and my MRA because he didn't think I had anything wrong. He thought I was making it up. And that's the problem that a lot of people have is when they go to, say, the ER with this extreme pain, people that know they have trigeminal neuralgia go to the ER in extreme pain, and ER doctors tend to think they are seeking out medication rather than actually in pain because you can't see it. And they never heard of trigeminal neuralgia. So they think they are there just to get prescriptions. The type of prescription you need for this nerve pain is not your painkillers like a lot of the drug seeker type people would be wanting. I always wanted just a steroid pack. Give me that. Let me help break it down and get it ending. But that's what happens is now ER thinks that's why you're coming in. I kind of think my neurologist thought that about me when my whole goal was to get something done so I could get off the medications. I hadn't been to a doctor since 1994, and all of a sudden in 2020, I'm having extreme pain. No, I don't go to doctors a lot. I don't want that medication in my body. They were sending me every 2 weeks for blood tests, sodium 1 week, the next week I had to get my blood tested to see if my liver and my kidneys were failing due to the medications. I don't want to be on that stuff. I don't want any of those meds. But they couldn't understand it. So finally I got the one guy and he got mad. He was kind of mad. The neurologist seemed a bit perturbed that I wouldn't take more medication. So he sent me to the interventional radiologist to disprove that I had trigeminal neuralgia. Well, when I got to the interventional radiologist, he says, Cheryl, I don't know why they sent you to me. I don't deal with this. This isn't what I do. There's nothing I can do for you. I said, well, you got to do something. Somebody has to do something. I can't continue to live like this. And so he suggested I go to a neurosurgeon. I said, awesome. He says, request to go to Dr. Anson. I said, okay, how do I get to the neurosurgeon? Because I already knew from doing research on my own, because Neurologists and doctors won't tell you. There are a few options you can do physically rather than just meds. You have, and I'm no doctor. I don't know I just know what I know about these. You can get injections where they go through the cheek and they inject into the nerve or next to the nerve to kind of numb it. You go in for those depending on you personally. I know it's a repeated thing where you're going to go every few months and have it done again, most likely. They also have what they call gamma knife, and that's where they use radiation to kind of damage the nerve so that, from my understanding, then in hopes that it will grow back and be healthy. Gamma knife works great for some people. They go years after that procedure without any pain. They also have MVD, which is microvascular decompression surgery. And that's a brain surgery, and that's the one I had. But I knew I had to get to a neurosurgeon to even have options for any of those because my neurologist wouldn't do them. They never wanted to do them. In fact, only one neurologist, and she was I don't know what, a nurse practitioner. She actually is the one that mentioned gamma knife, but none of the other neurologists did. Never once. Out of all the times I was in there, out of all the problems with the medications, they didn't give me a solution. They gave me a temporary fix with the medication. So the interventional radiologist, when he suggested Dr. Anson, I said, "How do I get the referral?" He says, "Well, you're a neurologist." I said, "My neurologist isn't going to send me. I'm lucky they sent me to you." I explained to him what was going on. He said, "Maybe your GP." I said, "My GP can't even get blood tests done. She can't remember to send the paperwork. She doesn't even know what this disease is." He says, "I'll take care of it." So he had his his assistant, I'm probably a nurse practitioner for, if that's what radiologists have. I don't know exactly what her title was, but she wrote up the referral, made the phone calls to get me an appointment with a neurosurgeon. And I got worried because it took weeks and weeks. Once I went down to the mailbox and I got my paper saying she had sent the referral. I was so excited. But then I waited and waited and waited because this isn't a doctor that you just call. In fact, I was warned by the radiologist that this doctor doesn't take everybody. He takes certain cases. And I sat here for weeks thinking, he's not going to take me. Maybe he's not going to take me. What am I going to do? I'm going to be stuck. And in the meantime, I had another flare, had to go back to the neurologist, got a neurologist that day. Took me almost, I was in a flare for about 2 weeks by the time I got in. And as I'm in that office, and this is why you have to wear a mask. Let me tell you something. There is no way anything was going over my ear. I couldn't wear earbuds. The little earpiece on my ear could hurt. I'm not putting a mask over my ear. Anything touching my face in the least, but anything touching my face like a mask would, excruciating pain. But you can't go anywhere without a mask on because masks don't hurt anybody. You've probably heard that over and over, except when you have a nerve disorder in your face, they can. So I take a handkerchief, tuck it up under my hat, and let it droop down. I went into the neurologist office, and first the nurse that was taking me back to the room had a conniption that I didn't have on a mask tied on my face. When I said to her, "Look on my chart, I can't," she was not accepting of that. And it didn't go real well, but she got me in a room. Then the neurologist, I can hear her outside the door, and she's out there for a couple minutes, and I didn't think a whole lot of it. But then she comes in and asks what I have, what's going on. So as I was telling her, I have trigeminal neuralgia, I'm in a flare, I need a steroid pack. She says, "What's your pain like?" I told her, "It's a level 10. I could hardly function." She says, "Well, what does it feel like?" I said, "It feels like somebody's taken an ice pick hooked to a car battery, jammed it in my ear, and now I have eagle talons going across my face. I have one under here that feels like it's in a constant state of ripping and electrical shock. My eye is on fire. My teeth are being pried out. I have an ice pick right here. That's what it feels like." She says, "No, it should just be a shock that lasts for a couple of seconds." Finally looked, "You're right, it is. Can I have my meds?" She reluctantly gave me my meds, talked to me about my face mask not being appropriate. I tried to explain to her why I couldn't wear it. Now, this is a neurologist. This is not just a regular Joe Blow on the street. I wasn't talking to, some checkout girl at the grocery store. This is a neurologist. This is a nerve disease. She didn't have a clue. I get out of there, come home. I'm waiting. I now get a call. I have an appointment with a neurologist on June 16th, with the neurosurgeon on June 16th. Never been so excited in all my life to get to finally go. And then I got stressed. What if he doesn't take me? What if he looks at my MRIs and my MRAs and he says, "There's nothing there"? My neurologist had already looked at it and said, "I don't see nothing." Maybe the neurosurgeon will too, and then I have to start from square one, or I'm stuck on these meds. So as the day got closer, I got more and more excited, hoping get to the neurosurgeon. Hard to keep track of all these amazing. Hadn't been to a doctor since 1994, and all of a sudden in 2020, I am going to more doctors, more blood tests, MRI, MRIs, MRAs, MRAs with contrast, neurosurgeons, interventional radiologists, all in a few months because of my face. So I get to the neurosurgeon's office, and Dr. Anson says, he's asking me about the pain and having me describe it in detail. And so I tell him, and he says, "Well, we've got 3 options." He tells me about the injections. He says, then option number 2 is to do the gamma knife, where they're going to go in and damage the nerve with radiation and hope it heals back better. He says, and then there's MVD, microvascular decompression surgery. I had already been Googling it and looking it up. I had already watched probably 100 videos on it so that I was prepared, and I learned really quickly you have to educate yourself. So I'd already looked at all of these options. I knew what I wanted done if he thought it would work. So he explained microvascular decompression, which is basically, they call it MVD. That's why I have this down here. It's where they go in, they cut your scalp, they put a hole in your skull, and they look for the trigeminal nerve. Now, the trigeminal nerve, let me see if I think I even have a picture so I can show you what it is. Yes, here, I'll show it to you so you can see. That's the trigeminal nerve. That is the nerve causing all of my pain, hate, and discontent. They go in, they go in and look for the main root of it so that they can see if there is a blood vessel pushing on it. Because a lot of times, usually, I'm going to say usually, I don't know if it's usual, what a lot of times is causing it and what caused it for me is you have the trigeminal nerve. Then, if a blood vessel happens in your brain, happens to be too close, every time your heart beats, it hits that nerve. And over time, it wears off the myelin sheath on your nerve and starts damaging it. So that means anytime like stress, your heart rate goes up, you're going to get more pain. Exercising. I knew anytime I put out much energy at all, boom, I was going to have pain. If the barometric pressure dropped, because when the barometric pressure drops, it lets things expand. That's why grandma has her knee hurts because rain's coming. Same thing, only with this, it expands just enough that you have more pressure between the blood vessel and the nerve. And no, this isn't exactly what it looks like. This is layman's terms. So they go in and they look for that one or more blood vessels that are touching that nerve. Once they find them, which even on my MRI and my MRA, we saw none. The neurosurgeon didn't see any. So it was considered exploratory and reconstructive surgery. He didn't see it on the MRI or the MRA, neither one. But he knew something had to be causing it because of the pain I was having. So on the morning I went to the hospital a couple days before my surgery, I had an EKG. I had blood work to type my blood because I've never had surgery. They had to type my blood. They did the different tests for uh, the virus, of course, and just to see if I was going to be okay for surgery. They gave me the go ahead. So the morning of July 1st, terrified, I put on my comfy pants and a big old t-shirt and head to the hospital for surgery. And like I said, I've never had surgery. I didn't know what to expect. My biggest fear was being put under. Never done that. Don't want to do it. Didn't want to do it. Terrifying. I get checked in. Again, they do more blood work to make sure that everything is right in case I need blood. They get me back in the back end and they start prepping you. Put on the gown, put on the stockings, put on the footies, put your hair up, all of these things. And I was doing good. I was like, okay, I'm okay. It's okay. We're going to be good. Different people were coming in from the surgical team talking to me. Then the anesthesiologist comes in. He's an old guy. He looks kind of like he might be your grandpa. He talks nice. Been doing this for 30, 40 years. I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing. Then it was mentioned by Brad. He told him, she's terrified of being put under. Because by now I've got tears rolling because I realize this man is going to put me under. And even though he looks like a nice old guy, I don't want nothing to do with it. So he said, don't worry. I can give you something to take the edge off. He did. Boom. I don't remember nothing else until I woke up. My surgery started about, I believe it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, which I don't remember nothing. Apparently, when you go back, they took all my hair and wrapped it up really tight, put it in. They put it in the nicest bun I ever saw in my life. Wrapped it up. They put your head in a frame because I had holes in my skull where they attached this frame to your skull and then attach it to the surgical bed so that you can't move. Hello? You don't want some involuntary movement while the doctor's in your brain. Not my idea of a good time. So, whatever they did, they did. They, had to shave my head a little bit, what have you. I woke up in the ICU at about 3:30 that afternoon with the worst headache I had ever had in my entire life. I honestly wondered if my head was going to explode. What had I done? I, I questioned myself. Why did I do this? I even asked the nurse, "Is it done? Are we done?" She's like, "Yeah, you had your surgery." I'm like, "Already?" I thought the anesthesiologist was going to do something, take the edge off. He sure as heck did. He knocked me out. So, anyway, have a big old bandage on my back of my head. Horrid, horrid headache. A doctor came in to ask me how I felt, and I told him exactly what I thought of that headache. And let me say, it wasn't nice, but I said it. I apparently had some complications with during surgery and the anesthesia. The anesthesia, my heart rate dropped too low. I had horrid nausea afterwards. I spent the first night just vomiting. They changed up my anti seizure meds or anti nausea meds, and it got better. But one of the things is that I wasn't prepared for. I mean, I'm not quite a year from the whole diagnosis to having surgery, and I was lucky. But I wasn't prepared for what happens when you have brain surgery. The doctor explained to me that your brain, when they cut the hole and they're entering it and they start draining cerebral fluid, as you can tell, I still have a little numbness and half my tongue's numb, so some words are hard for me to say. When they start draining that fluid, your brain goes into emergency mode. So therefore, it cuts off anything that is not a vital organ. It just, we ain't going to worry about your arms, your legs, nothing else. We need to keep your lungs working, your heart working. We need those vital organs to work, which meant my arms and my legs had basically become disconnected from my brain from this surgery. And it's common. That's what happens. It's your body, it goes into safety mode, protection mode. It's saving all its energy and resources for those vital organs. Well, I go to they give me a sippy cup type thing. And I'm like thinking, why do I need a sippy cup? So I tried to figure out how to pick that cup up. I could not, my brain was still disconnected from my arms and my feet, even though I was awake and I was coming out of the anesthesia. I tried to grab that cup and I couldn't figure out how to get my hand to hold that cup. Once I got that, I'm bringing it to my face. How do you drink? I Even though I knew what I wanted to do in my head, I couldn't get my arms and my hands to do it. Finally got that figured out. Then they bring me in some food. Awesome. I'm starving. I need something to eat. I could pick up food with my hand and get it to my mouth. To hold the fork, get the food, and get it to my mouth, I struggled. Now, granted, all of this comes back fairly quickly, but you have to realize this can happen. Did to me, and it was explained this is what happens, is since your brain disconnects from the rest of you, you kind of have to relearn it. It's not like where it's going to take days or weeks or a lot of therapy. It's just you have to concentrate really hard. Finally, I could get a few bites in me. I was still nauseous, so I was trying to be careful, but I had, since brain surgery, I thought I was doing good. I actually could get a drink and some food in me. I must be on my way to recovery. Still had a massive headache, but not the facial pain. So the next day, the PT guys come in and they were big. One of them was a big dude, big. Made me feel good because I figured I'm not going to fall. He's big enough to catch me. If I think I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall on him. They said, okay, we're going to get you up and take you for a walk around. I'm like, okay. They bring in a walker. Walker, how old do you think I am? Yeah, I needed one. They helped me get turned around and set up on the bed. And they said, okay, let's go. And they get under my arms so that they've got me and I'm steady and they're not going to let me fall. I know this. And they said, okay, let's go. I said, I have to get my feet on the ground. They said, your feet are on the ground. I said, no, I don't want to fall. You have to get my feet on the ground. They said, Cheryl, your feet are on the ground. I couldn't feel my feet on the ground. Nothing was connected there. They convinced me to move. I said, okay, if you promise, I will go ahead and try to lift my butt up off the bed. Make sure my feet are on the ground. Don't let me fall. They said, you're fine. We start, got the walker. They both got me. We're going to go down the hall. I said, you got to pick up your feet. I said, I am picking up my feet. I said, no, you got to pick up your feet. They said, act like you're going to, when you're walking, like you're trying, stand up as straight as you can. Try to bring your knee all the way up to your forehead. So I started doing that. I said, there. He says, you got to pick up your feet more. I said, I am. He says, no, my feet were only coming about this far off the ground. I thought I was really lifting them. Apparently not. But they informed me this is all part of connecting your brain to your body. It's kind of like, because I work on a computer all the time, it's kind of like you have to defrag your computer and get all your files back in place. That's what happens with this surgery is afterwards I had to defrag and get everything lined back up. And it doesn't happen automatically or immediately. We did make our little walk around. Later that night, I got moved down to a regular room because they wouldn't let me get up at all while in ICU. They did come in later that afternoon and I could, with a walker and with a nurse, I was allowed to go to the restroom once they took the catheter out. Because before that, they wouldn't let me get up at all. And let me tell you, when you're in ICU, if you try to get up on your own and go to the bathroom, with your walker, even though it's only 3 feet away, them nurses ain't happy. They're not happy at all. I got yelled at. But anyway, I got moved down to a regular room, and I knew the only way I was going to get to go home is if I could walk and pass their PT test. So that night, it was July 2nd, and where I was at here in Las Vegas, they're up near a mountain, and I could look out the window and see people blowing off fireworks and stuff. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't get comfortable. My neck hurt. That's why I have like the hot packs in the carousel, is because your neck hurts so bad from being positioned, however they position you for the surgery. My hips hurt from laying in that bed and also being probably through the surgery, the anesthesia, all of that stuff. But I got my little walker, tucked my little handkerchief under the corners of my hat so it draped down, and I went out and I strolled down the hall, turn around, come back. When I say down the hall, it wasn't very far, but I just kept doing that. Go back, sit down, relax for a while, rest up, do it again, do it again. Next day, they came in and said, "You might get released today." But I had to pass PT. This time, the PT lady that came in was a tiny little lady, smaller than me. She says, "We're going to go for a walk." She made me walk what I thought was 10 miles. I was exhausted. I was so worn out, I couldn't hardly get there. She made me go upstairs. I'm like, it felt like you had some evil, you know, personal trainer taking you through the hospital, making you do all these things. But I got through them. I passed. She gave me the good to go. A neurosurgeon came in. He took off the bandage, looked at my staples, because I did get staples on my incision. Some people get glue, some people get stitches. I got what I called my Frankensteins, and they were staples. In fact, let me see here. Oops, I know I have it. I'll show you a little picture. There you go. That was my staples from surgery. Not very pretty, but it is what it is. They finally got in, signed all my papers, and said I could go home. I was so ecstatic to be coming home. Hospitals aren't somewhere you want to be. At this point, I was still pain-free from the trigeminal neuralgia, because while I was in the hospital, they didn't give me any of my regular medications. So the neurosurgeon said, "We're just going to put you on the one that doesn't cause you extreme issues, and see how you do." They sent me anti-nausea medicine and some pain meds, regular pain meds for the surgery. I get home, just the car ride had me so tired, I couldn't believe it. How did riding in a wheelchair from my hospital room to the car, then riding in the car home, wear me out? Then it comes to getting from the car to the house, which I had to have assistance. I had to have Brad hold me and walk with me. I'd have never made it. I couldn't get everything together. Got inside, and I figured out, once my nausea calmed down, all I wanted to do was eat. I was starving. And we had got a bunch of fruit before I went in for surgery. And Brad, while I was in surgery, had juiced tons of stuff. So I had grape juice, apple juice, strawberries, mango, you name it. I had fruit juice. And my thought was the fruit juice would be good because it will be a natural sugar with a lot of vitamins that will help me heal. And I believe it did. I needed those natural sugars. But it was just amazing to be able to. We made a homemade pizza one night. I didn't. I laid on the couch. But we had homemade pizza and I could actually eat it and not have pain. I started trying out everything. I can hear that. I got volume in there. Sorry. I started eating everything I hadn't been able to eat: celery, grapes, meat, all of these things that you can't eat because of your nerve issue. I could now eat. I was shoving everything down my face. My biggest issue was walking. I would try to get out the back door all the way around front, and that's what I did the evening of 4th of July. Took a chair, Brad took chairs out. I made it all the way out front with help to sit in a chair and watch the fireworks for a while. Then it was another nap. But what I want you to realize is having the surgery I had has so far, and I just had my 3-month checkup, has ended my nerve pain. I've had a lot of issues just trying after the surgery with the nausea, the the disconnect. I was super confused, and one day I called my friend Lainey and we talked on the phone for hours so that I could get my speech going again and get my brain connected. A defragging, uh, the walking, the doing anything. Then I ended up with a lot of vertigo, bad vertigo, as in I'm going to fall down and vomit. That is all just part of this healing. And I believe it was a lot of swelling in there. And I still have just a tiny bit of vertigo once in a while. I just, I'm getting over it. It is healing. I think it's just the neurosurgeon said it's part of the healing process. But I saw him this week for my 3-month checkup, and I'm released. I don't have to see him again unless I have a some kind of issue come up. If I start having pain, what have you, then I can go back and get him to figure out what's wrong. But yeah, he went in, cut the hole in my skull, found the nerve. He said the blood vessel where it was at, he had never seen before. And he actually does a lot of these. In fact, whenever I got ready to schedule my surgery, they scheduled it for 3 weeks out. I was like, holy smokes, that soon? She says, when we have a MVD to do, we get you in as soon as possible because we want to get your pain ended. They scheduled it 3 weeks out, but then a few days later, they called and said, we have an opening, which meant it was just right at 2 weeks. So they got me in like that to get this all taken care of. But he goes in, here's the nerve, here's the blood vessel that was touching, and they put like a cushion in between them. I forget, ooh, it has an official name, but it's just a little cushion, and they put it in there so that now my blood vessel is not touching that nerve. So now the nerve can heal and I'm not getting pain as much. I even went to the gym and got on the exercise bike, got my heart rate up, way up. Normally, if my heart rate raised at all, I was in excruciating pain. But now I can go to the gym, get on the exercise bike, get my heart rate up, and not have that pain from that blood vessel hitting. So things are going good. But like I said, Not everyone is as lucky as me. A lot of people go undiagnosed for years, 20, 30 years. They go undiagnosed and they're living in this pain and they can't find out what's wrong with them. Some of them have had all their teeth pulled trying to get rid of it, still got the pain. They have been to eye, ears, nose, and throat doctors. They have been to psychologists because maybe it's all in your head. Well, it kind of is all in your head and in your face, but it's not a, you're not imagining this, it's real. So there are a ton of people with the disorder. They don't know they have it, or nobody will help them. They go to neurologists that just want to prescribe meds, want to keep upping your meds instead of finding a fix. And that's really stinks. I'll go ahead and I'm going to put this up and show you. Yes, today is Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness Day, and it, a lot of people know it as TN. It's also known as the suicide disease because of the excruciating pain. And 4 to 5 out of every 100,000 people in the United States each year is found to have this disorder. So it is pretty rare. And like I said earlier, I talked in my groups. I belong to trigeminal neuralgia groups. I'm trying to get my page to move over here. Oh, dang. And ask them, what do you want people to know about this disorder? Normally, if you read on Google, they say it's the majority of people are women over 50 that develop this. But that doesn't mean it's only women over 50. There are children that have this disorder. And I can't imagine being a parent and trying to find out why my child is in excruciating pain. Uh, of course, you take them to the doctor, you're taking them to the dentist. You're questioning is this real? What is going on? And since it is considered more rare in children, even less doctors and less people look for it to diagnose it. So you have children that are in extreme pain and probably on the wrong medications, being treated wrong because people just don't know. So that is one of the things I got a page over here. Where'd my mouse go? See what happened? My brain is connected. This is my normal brain. I just, like I said, I've gotten lucky. What the heck am I clicking on here? Live video. It's always fun. There it is. Can't always find it. Let me see here. I'm checking a couple of things. I'm going to go back over here. There you go. So you know what we're talking about, trigeminal neuralgia. And I want to read you, I'm not going to give you the names by no means, but I want you to know that everybody that has this disorder has things they want you to know about it. And my page, I just closed it because that's what I do. All right. What a day. I know this is odd, probably on Amazon Live, but this is a platform I had. And like I said, I picked out a bunch of products in the carousel that I personally use. The juicer laptop, because I spent a lot of time on the couch. I needed laptop tables, scarves, The scarves and the oh my gosh, the I have a couple of different face coverings because the wind and the cold, and when I say wind, it can be a warm wind from the fan or the AC used to drive me crazy in my kitchen. The AC would blow, and if it came on while I was standing in the right place and it hit my face, it could send me to my knees. So a lot of face coverings. I would go everywhere with a scarf up over my head and around my face to keep the wind from blowing on it. But you can't wear it too tight on your face because if it touches your face, then it can cause pain. It's an endless, vicious circle. So I do want to mention some of these things. Like I said, I'm not going to give names. I just want you to know what people with trigeminal neuralgia go through. It might help you to deal with someone you know that has it. Maybe you know someone that's going undiagnosed and it sounds like this might be it. Maybe it's a suggestion they can look into. Call their doctors and ask about it. Look it up online just to get ideas of, is this me? If you don't advocate for yourself, you're not going to get taken care of. That is one of the biggest things I found is I had to be my own researcher, my own advocate. There was nobody out there that is going to research this for you. If you go to the doctor and you're having this pain and they don't know about trigeminal neuralgia, uh, at one point I read normal doctors may only in a 35-year career may come across as many as 3 cases of trigeminal neuralgia. So a lot of doctors don't see it enough. They don't see it, they don't know it. So you have to do your own research. And sometimes you have to tell your neurologist or your doctor what you want in treatment, what you want them to look into. You also have to advocate for yourself. If the treatment you're getting is not working for you, you have to start demanding and telling them, this isn't working. We have to do something else. Start finding those solutions. I know a ton of people that have had this disorder for many, many years, and never once has their neurologist suggested any kind of treatment, such as the injections, the gamma knife, or the surgery, such as I have. And that just means all they do is keep going to the neurologist and keep getting more and stronger meds and not getting it fixed. So you have to be an advocate for yourself. But some of the things that were written when I asked, what do you want people to know? Is that it progresses. Don't neglect your condition and get help right away. And if possible, look into your surgeries. Uh, there's no point in wasting years suffering with this if you can get someone to look at it, a neurosurgeon, and say, we can fix this. My MVD surgery, whether or not it is permanent, no idea. It could come back. But for right now, I'm living pain free. So don't neglect it. It's going to progressively get worse, and you have to look into things yourself. Uh, the next person says, there is not a cure. None of this is a cure. Uh, I'm going to live with this for the rest of my life as far as I don't know if it's going to come back or not. I have to hope it doesn't. Some people don't have another issue. Could it happen on the other side? Am I prone to it? It's not really a cure, it's a fix, and I hope it lasts. So we need to raise awareness so that more doctors know about this, whether it's pediatricians, dentists, ears, eyes, nose, and throat doctors, even neurologists. My neurosurgeon said my neurologist didn't know what they were talking about because they weren't treating me right. So the more people aware of this disorder, the better. We can get people diagnosed quicker. We can find better treatments. We can get better medications to help alleviate the pain, alleviate the stress, give people back their lives, pain-free lives, or a controlled pain without masses of meds that make you a lunatic. They made me a lunatic. Now some people have better luck on them than me. God bless you. I just knew I wasn't going to do that very long. And here we have, I wish people would know, this is usually misdiagnosed as arthritis, TMJ, migraines, root canal, tooth infections. It's misdiagnosed all the time. And people are being treated for, thank you, Connie Harding, for the follow. People are being treated for the wrong conditions. Going to a dentist and having root canals and having your teeth pulled out will not fix trigeminal neuralgia. You can have no teeth, have all your teeth taken out, and guess what? You can still feel like your teeth are being pried out. We see it all the time where people have had this for years. Dentists have pulled all their teeth, they've gotten dentures, and guess what? They still have the same teeth pain because it's not the tooth, it's the nerve. And if more dentists knew about this, maybe they wouldn't be pulling teeth and doing root canals or telling you have TMJ. Maybe when you're getting a stab in the ear, an electrical shock, because mine started off when I'd having, and I didn't know this until later when we started looking through it. So for years, I've been building up to this. But when it wasn't excruciating pain, I just let it go. When I would put earbuds in, I would get shocked. And it would be like, I thought I've got the music too loud. I'd turn it way down. Didn't matter. Still. So I quit wearing earbuds. And certain sounds, even without earbuds, would still do that. Now, maybe I would have, if I was the type to go to doctors, or if it was my child, I would be taking them to an ear specialist saying, what's wrong with their ear? Well, if the ear doctor doesn't know about trigeminal neuralgia, guess what? They aren't going to fix it. They might do all kinds of treatments, but it's not going to fix it if it's truly trigeminal neuralgia. So we don't know if it's as rare as they think or if it's just not diagnosed. I mean, there could be a lot more people out there suffering and they just don't know what it's called. Yes, next up is you can be young and get it. While it tends to be women over 50, we also see young people. In the groups on Facebook, there are a lot of people that are older teenagers, young people in their 18, 19, 20s, men also get it. Men either, from my understanding, they don't get it as often, or it is not, maybe they don't join these groups as often. I'm not sure which it is. But I don't see a ton of men with it, but they get it. So it's not something that only women over 50 get it, as some doctors may lead you to believe. So if you're younger or you're a man and you go in with these same pains and the same triggers, some doctors will say that's a disease of women over 50. It's not. It's not exclusive to us old girls. Anybody can get it. And we need people to know that, because there's people in these groups that 18 years old, and it may have taken them a while to get it diagnosed. I know in one of the groups there is a mother, and her young daughter has it, that is 8 or 9. So it's not just older people, it can be anybody. Uh, and like this mother says, children suffer from it too. So as a parent, as a grandparent, trying to get it diagnosed, if you've never heard of it and your doctor's not really up on it, who knows how long you could go. But there again, that's what we're doing, is we want people to hear of it and understand it, and at least know the name, so that when you know somebody or yourself and you're having these pains, there's there's several trigeminal neuralgia support groups on Facebook that you can look it up on YouTube and start learning about it if you think this applies to yourself or someone, and then contact your doctor. I mean, they'll probably want an MRI, they'll want to send you to a neurologist. You can get all of that done and start working on it yourself, because to wait on a doctor to figure it out may not happen. Also, what was mentioned as something they want everybody to know is that it never goes away. This is a lifetime disease. I've had the surgery, I've got the little cushion implanted. I'm in hopes I don't have any more issues ever. In fact, I told my neurosurgeon this week, when he says, "You won't need to come back unless you have pain, something happens." I asked him, "Can I be totally done with my neurologist?" He says, "Yep." I told him, "I hope I never see you again. Not, I hope I don't have to call. I hope I don't have to come in. I appreciate everything you did. You're great, but I don't want to see you for this again." It doesn't mean it won't happen. I just hope that this surgery holds. Some people have a lot better luck with it than others. So we need to find permanent cures and get doctors to be able to get patients to that permanent solution. And next up is, there is no reason it starts. As far as, we didn't do anything. Sometimes there are cases where someone has had a facial injury, a head injury due to a car wreck or a sporting event, or something has happened that will cause it. For most of us, it's not, you ate the wrong things, you did this or that. We didn't do anything. There's nothing that says, if you do this, you could get trigeminal neuralgia. Don't do this so you don't get trigeminal. There is nothing. We don't know. I don't know why that blood vessel all of a sudden is growing in the wrong place and rubbing on that nerve. I had no idea I even had that nerve. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. That's what I should say, is nothing you can do to prevent it. So if you get it, you get it. And it was by no fault of your own. I mean, even people who have had car accidents or sporting events and facial injuries and all, it wasn't because they planned that. It just happened. And then their life has changed like that, to possibly never be the same again. And when I say life changing, I mean life changing. Very much so. And There are some people that have a constant pain where it is every day, all day. Other people, it is a flash, just here and there, not a constant. So not everybody is the same. And even in these groups with hundreds of people, no two people are having the exact same symptoms. And DZ asked, did you get neck pain with trigeminal neuralgia? I did not. If you're in the one of the trigeminal neuralgia groups on Facebook, there are people that talk about neck pain, throat pain, uh, and there's different types of facial pain too. I I forget how many different types there are, but some of them include more things like your throat and your neck. So I would suggest if you're not in one of the trigeminal neuralgia groups on Facebook, start looking because there are several and people in there are awesome. Like I said, everyone has had different issues. My pain isn't like somebody else's. My reaction to medication isn't like someone else's. In fact, the medication I took may not be like someone else's. How I had my MVD, my scars aren't even the same as other people that have had it. There are just so many variables, and I think because it's a nerve, that means any pain, any feeling your nerve can have, you can have across your face. And my thought is once one nerve gets irritated and aggravated, anything around it, because any of the muscles are going to start getting irritated too. Other nerves, because of the inflammation and just the general irritation, are going to get involved. So you start with one problem and then you end up multiplying because of the irritation from the first one. It's, I'm going to say it again, I was lucky. I'm not even a year from diagnosis, and I've already had my 3-month checkup with surgery. Not very many people can say that. And when people ask me, how did that progress like that? And I said, because I'm not a nice person. Me and my neurologist, we were not like this. No, we kind of batted at it. And I got several different neurologists, and I wasn't really nice to any of them. I laid down this is what I want. I had a goal in mind, and my goal was to get off all the medication and be pain free. And I was going to push them to get what I wanted. Whether it was the MVD, gamma knife, maybe I would go to a neurosurgeon. He says there's nothing we can do. Then I had to reset my mind. But I was going to push until I got to that neurosurgeon because those neurosurgeons, they know a lot more than your neurologist, than your radiologist person that when you go for an MRI or an MRA, you have a person there that reads it and writes a little report. A lot of them don't know what trigeminal neuralgia is. A lot of it cannot be seen. Where my blood vessel was, it was not seen on the MRI or the MRA. So if I'd have went by that report, and if I'd have went by what my neurologist that didn't see anything, thought I was making it up, thought I was, you know, you don't really have this. If I wouldn't have pushed for a neurosurgeon, I'd still be in the extreme pain because of something the radiologist person and the neurologist just couldn't see. Even though medical has really improved over the years, there's a lot of people that nothing is seen on the MRI, but when a neurosurgeon goes inside, they see it and they can fix you. So that was a big one for me is some of the neurologists want a one size fits all, and that is put everybody on this medication or put them on this medication or do this. It doesn't work that way. We're all different. Each of us have different types of pain, different triggers. We just need doctors to know this. We need people to know this so they can point it out and say, hey, one of my tips would be to, as you get this, if you're new to it, write down when you have pain. What's the pain feel like? What were you doing when the pain started? If you have just a little shock because you put your earbuds in. If I put my earbuds in and all of a sudden I notice a shock, I need to write that down. If I'm eating and then all of a sudden I have that pain, I need to write it down. Did the wind blow? Did I get too tired? Was I stressed about work or my family or something going on? How long did that pain last? What was the level of that pain? Where was that pain? A lot of people have the pain down in here. I happen to have the worst of my pain here and here, and sometimes my temple would feel like you had taken a railroad tie and hit it right into my temple. And every time my heart beat, it hit that railroad tie, which would send excruciating pain just rattling through my face. When that was later on, I needed to write that down. Why it started doing that, I have no idea. I couldn't think of a trigger that set it off. Probably stress, being tired, something like that. Write it all down because when you start, for one, it's good for you so that you know what to avoid, what can set you off, and when you go to your doctors, you have something to tell them. And don't mind me, since I'm not really drooling, I don't think, but when you go to the doctors, you'll be able to tell them in detail what's going on. And this is for anything. I mean, that could be how you get diagnosed. It could be how they can figure out what's going on. It can help you avoid the triggers. And yes, I feel like I'm drooling because since my MVD surgery, when I first came out of surgery, half my face pretty much was numb and a good portion back here. Uh, the numbness started working down so that I had more feeling. And right now, I'm pretty much right here is all numb. So this portion of my face and half my tongue. The more I talk, the tired I if I get tired, if I do anything, exert myself, it's like when you go to the dentist and you get the Novocaine, that's what it feels like, but it feels like I'm drooling and half my tongue is numb. So my pronouncing words and then making sure I'm not drooling plays a role. So just so you know, it is getting better. My numbness, even a week or two ago, was up here, and it's coming way down, and so it's getting less to where I have less numbness. Now I can do a lot more things. Before I get that, I'm gonna drool. My tongue isn't totally numb all the time. Eating was a blast with a half numb tongue. And like I told my neurosurgeon, my tongue is numb except when I bite it. Then it hurts. But these are all part of the joys of trigeminal neuralgia. But you know what? My facial numbness, my tongue being half numb, having to take little bites when I eat because my tongue is numb, none of that bothers me. I'll sit here, I'll get a drool bucket if I have to before I have that pain again. If I have to trade numbness in my face for pain, I don't care. And I know that some people get really upset because of the numbness. And when I was first healing, it would be sometimes I would feel like a billion little bugs crawling across my face. I would have some burning for a little bit, itching, just drive me nuts for a little bit. But all of that is part of the nerve healing, and it gets better. Mine is getting better. I'm 3 months out and I'm still healing. And that's something people need to realize too, is this isn't a walk out of surgery and you're good to go. It takes a while. Uh, Something else that was mentioned that they want people to know, someone says the severity of the pain we endure and the lengths we go to hide it. Also, this isn't a toothache or a headache, and Tylenol and a nap won't make it go away. And she's absolutely right, because a lot of times they do think it's a toothache or a headache, or take a Tylenol. Before I was diagnosed, I was taking 800 milligrams of ibuprofen every 2 hours to try to get rid of the pain. What that was doing to my kidney and my liver is beyond belief. But it wasn't helping my pain, and that's when I ended up in the ER. Is there? I didn't have any kind of medication. There wasn't nothing I could take to make it stop. But that's what people will tell you. Oh, yeah, I sometimes get a pain, or I've had, they name a variety of things. Take a Tylenol, take a aspirin. Doesn't work. We know that. It's not that kind of pain. It's not going to just fix. And someone else mentions that some days taking steps hurts because it jiggles my face. And this is true. Just having your face, any movement can set that nerve off. So if you're dealing with someone who has trigeminal neuralgia and you wonder why they're just walking and all of a sudden in excruciating pain and down on their knees and just can't stand it, it could just simply be the wind, their face moved, anything. Their hair touched their face. It's that it's that weird with triggers. Uh, Here's another statement. Just because I was able to yesterday doesn't mean I will be able to today. And also, when I cancel plans last minute, it was because I didn't have a choice. And a lot of people, this is true. They avoid making plans. I was one of them too. I was afraid to make plans because what if I got a flare and then I couldn't go? I don't want to go ruin someone else's day because I'm having excruciating pain. There would be car shows that were I'd have to drive a ways from my house. I didn't want to go because what if I had a flare while driving? Have a friend that lives up in Oregon wanted me to come visit. Had a car show in California. Can't go because I don't want to be so far away from my emergency room and my neurologist. Because what if all of a sudden I got a flare and I was in Oregon? I can't get home. Flying would have been out of the question. I ain't getting on no daggone airplane with a mask and the change in the pressure. Not happening. I wouldn't have done that with a flare. Can't drive because I can't even think straight. So I was terrified to go very far because I might have a flare and I couldn't get back to get help. I didn't want to be driving. I know that whenever I drove down south to a car show, the change in elevation in one area, it just started, and it was all just the change in elevation started that flare. Thankfully, it didn't build into a big flare because went over and headed back down, and I did fine. But it was that little ways of driving with that change in elevation. So we don't keep plans, we don't make travel plans a lot of times out of fear. And yes, I could feel good one day, and the next day something had set it off, and I couldn't function. I was laying in bed with tears rolling down my face, trying to relax. Uh, Another person says, we want people to know, we want people to believe that our pain is as bad as we say it is. And that's the truth. I've never felt this type of pain ever. I have had an infected tooth that was, huge, and they had to pull it. I've had wisdom teeth taken out. I wore braces for years as a kid. I have broken bones as a child. I have birthed children without any medication. None of that compares. This is a pain in and amongst itself. Even when I've had a couple bouts of sciatica, doesn't touch it. TMJ, had TMJ, thought I was dying. In fact, my TMJ is over here on the other side. Not the same. I've never felt something like this. And not only that, I've never felt something that, and now I know, every time my heart beat, it made it worse. And you didn't know what that feeling was going to be. It could be a burning. Like I said, I got burning under my eye. The corner of my eye would just be like it was on fire. Same with around here, the teeth prying up, the just eagle talon ripping across your face, the stabbing in your ear, the ice pick to your forehead. It's You don't know what pain it's going to be, and it's different for everybody, but it's real and it hurts, but you couldn't see it. Nobody looking at me could see it. I have been out to events or things going on and maybe not talk much, just go do what I could. May have had to eat a lot of pain pills while I was doing it. Just pretend I was good to go until the pain got too bad, and then I had to leave. But I learned that there's a level of pain that you do get accustomed to, but it wears you out. To have any type of chronic pain wears you out. I couldn't believe how tired my face made me. And I used to tell people, we joke, oh, your face is killing me. And I used to tell them, no, my face is killing me, but thanks. It hurts me more than it hurts you. So it's real. You can't see it, but it's real. Uh, we also have, yeah, different people use different things, whether it's the hot packs. Some people do better with heat, some do better with ice. There are some people have done acupuncture, some use massage to help. Massage, of course, would help you relax everything so that maybe it'd take the stress away. Sleeping with my head up because I couldn't lay on my ear. I couldn't touch my ear. And that's why I've never worn a mask because I won't let it touch my ear. Even now, not going to happen. So I found sleeping setting up, and probably because it kept my blood pressure and kept so much pressure out of that blood vessel that was pushing on the nerve. But using the neck pillows, ice, heat, neck pillows. Uh, I we got one of these cushions in here that I highlighted so that we can put pillows behind it on the couch so I could sleep sitting up more. We try everything. And in these groups, we all share it. It's because nobody wants the pain. Nobody wants anybody else to be in it. So we're happy to share. And even though I'm not having the pain anymore and I've had the surgery, I still go in the groups and I do what I can to help people understand that they're not alone. Because when I got this, I never heard of it. In fact, almost nobody I know had ever heard of it. I finally got on, I posted about it on my own Facebook profile, and one of my friends knew someone's grandma that had it. I know all kinds of people. I mean, I'm at car shows. I used to be at car shows all the time, and nobody ever heard of it. What else? Yes, there's a couple different versions of trigeminal neuralgia. They call it T1 and T2. One is the sudden shocks and the shooting pain. The other one is more of a constant pain. My neurologist nor my neurosurgeon ever mentioned T1 or T2 to me, ever. A lot of them do. We read about it in the groups where they've been categorized as one of these. I never I never got categorized as one or the other. So that's something to know. Some people I had a constant pain, but sometimes it was a constant I could live with and I could go about my day and just watch that I didn't do anything too much. Others days that constant pain was exasperated by the shocks and the excruciating pain. So my pain level never, I don't think throughout this whole process my pain level never went down below about a 3 or 4 ever. But at a 3 or 4 I could still function. When it started building, that's when I kind of couldn't do as much. Next, we have I would like people to know that yes, there are some surgeries or procedures to rid some pain, but like mine, there is no cure or procedure. MVD does not work for everyone. The Gamma knife does not work for everyone. Some people, their only option right now is medication. Even though it may muddle your brain, it makes you feel out of whack. That's their only option. And so we do need to find more people and more doctors looking into this to find better ways to deal with it. Mine happened to be that the blood vessel was pushing on the nerve, so we could put the cushion in there and fix it, but that's not the case for everybody. And as another person said, after all this time of having this horrible illness, I'd want them to realize it's not my fault. And that's exactly right. It's not anyone's fault. No one did something to create this disorder for themselves. It just happens. I mean, maybe one day they'll figure out that, if you eat Cheerios, it causes trigeminal neuralgia. But as far as it goes right now, there's nothing. No way to know why I have it and why these other people have it. Some people have had car accidents or head injuries. But other than that, I mean, I haven't had really anything happen to me that I know of that I could say, oh, that's it. That's what caused it. Nah. I have a couple more images. Let me close this out because I wanted to get their messages in. And then I've been on almost 2 hours. When I had, before my surgery, there is no way I could have done this for 2 hours. Maybe half an hour. And then I would have been in excruciating pain because I tried doing Amazon Live before my surgery and it didn't take long and I got excruciating pain. So It's working. Yep. Still feel like I'm drooling. My tongue is half numb, but I'm not in pain. Got to be thankful for the little things. Now here is an image for, like I said, some neurologists talk about TN1 and TN2, whether it's the sharp shocks and stabs, sudden onset, comes and goes, and pain-free times is TN1, or your atypical where you have the constant pain and the burning, and then like my eye, this part of my eye that burned, it was almost constant. The prying out of my teeth from the top and the bottom, that was pretty much constant for me. But that pain didn't, the prying out my teeth some days was horrid. And I used to have a mouthwash that I would use. That could get bad. The burning of the eye, you can only burn your eye so much. And yeah, it was irritating, but I got used to it. Uh, the one little ice pick, sometimes it would feel more like a needle than an ice pick. But I kind of just dealt with those on most days. And then when it came to an actual flare where it was excruciating, dropped me to my knees pain, that's a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. The constant pain wears you down. The excruciating pain just puts you out. And I got some pictures from the Trigeminal Neuralgia group. And this is true. One day you will tell your story of how you've overcome what you went through, and it will become part of someone else's survival guide. And while I can't say my story is anything amazing, if it wasn't for the people in the trigeminal neuralgia groups on Facebook, I wouldn't be where I am right now, because I wouldn't have known what to expect. I wouldn't have known about the procedures. I wouldn't have known where to look. I've highlighted in the carousel Striking Back, and it is a book about facial pain and where you can learn so much to help yourself understand what is going on, understand what you need to tell the doctors and the neurologists and the neurosurgeons. If it wasn't for these other people that had already been years with this disorder, trying different meds, trying different therapies, getting surgeries, getting injections, what have you, I wouldn't have known what to look for, what to push for, and how to handle things. So that's absolutely right. What they went through was kind of my survival guide, and to see I wasn't alone, because I didn't know anybody with this. And honestly, I thought it was all in my head. And days where there wouldn't be much pain, I would stop and I would think, maybe I don't have it. Maybe it's gone. Maybe it was all in my head. Don't let that stick around too long, because it never failed. I'd be thinking that and thinking I was doing good and ready to go back at it, and boom. But yeah, if it wasn't for them, I would have been in deep trouble. I'm going to show you this. This is a list of some of the triggers that can set off in a flare. I've had flares that went away on their own. I've had flares that were bad, but I was going to be okay, and I knew this. I've had other flares, most excruciating thing I ever felt. And they call it the suicide disease, and that didn't cross my mind. But let me tell you, I can understand how it does, especially if you don't have anyone around you that is helping you with just dealing with it, dealing with the loss of being able to go out and do things, not being able to take care of your kids, maybe not being able to clean your house so you feel worthless. All of that comes into play on you when you're suffering with this. And then to have the pain on top of it and the meds that mess with your head, It all comes together, and it's not good. Oh, well, there you go. This is some of the triggers: chewing, talking, having someone kiss you on the cheek, even your child, smiling, a light touch, cold air, brushing your teeth. Yes, shaving for men that shave, women doing their makeup, their eyebrows, anything like that, lipstick, showering. I would get in the shower sometimes and wash my hair, whatever, and I'd be doing thinking I was okay. And you turn your head and that water hits your face, and that's it. The barometric pressure changes were horrid on me. Horrid. I I could tell you the barometric pressure without ever looking at it. My face was could tell you. Hot and cold liquid. Some people drink if they have something hot or they have something cold, boom, sets them off. I got to look at my other glasses. Hang on. My mom was just diagnosed with this and was prescribed gabapentin. It seems to take the edge off, but she gets really sleepy. Can I? Oh, do you want me to share the Facebook group? Yes. Let me. I will pull it up. It is a group for not only people who have the trigeminal neuralgia, but also people who are caretakers. Let me grab this. I wanted to move it so that you couldn't see anybody's name when I oops, where'd it go? I just had it. Let me pull it over here because I can't put links right now in this. Can I? I wonder if I could. It is called, there's several of them. And let me put this up for you too. So in case you can't find the group, you can always find me on Facebook. I'm Cheryl Locke. I'm probably the only one. Boy, I can't get this to show me. It is Trigeminal Neuralgia Support Group. There's also facial pain. Let me see here. I've got like 4 groups I belong to. Trigeminal neuralgia and facial pain is one of them. And like I said, if you are on Facebook and you find me, I'm Cheryl Locke, you'll be able to see. I think I'm the only one. Send me a message and I will get you the links to all 4. I think I've got in 4 groups and be able to get that for you. Because they help so much. Everybody in there, no matter what area, we have people from all over the world in there. And they have different doctors. Some countries have different treatments. And it's really good for you as a caretaker to understand what you can do to help her and what she might be going through, and to help her deal with the doctors, because if her doctor's anything like some of them I dealt with, they aren't that great. But trigeminal neuralgia and facial pain is one of them. Let me see here. I'm trying to look at which other ones. There's also one just named Trigeminal Neuralgia Support Group. And I think those are 2 of the main ones. One of the pages you might want to look at. Oh, not a problem. One of the pages you might want to look at is, I'm trying to find it too, because with being on Amazon Live, there's some things I can do on here and some things I can't. There is a page. This is not a group, it's a page, and it's called the Facial Pain Association. And They put out a lot of information about this. They also do some research. They've put out a lot, especially since today is Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness Day. Get my drool in again. And they also deal with glossophilial, something like that, neuralgia, geniculate neuralgia, because there's several different neuralgias that are all in this. I happen to have trigeminal neuralgia, and they have a ton of information, just like that facial pain book. The hot packs, depending on what triggers your mother, I've got the hot packs because heat sometimes did me good. Not always. Sometimes I needed ice. The scarves, as it's getting winter, I would take all of my scarves. I never wore a scarf before that I know of. Not that I ever remember. And I got like 3 of these now, different colors. I would wrap it around my head, pull it out, and wrap it across here. And I used to have a little alligator clip that I would clip it because I could not have it touching my face. I couldn't have it tight, but I needed something to break the wind so the wind didn't touch my face. Uh, that's another thing with masks now. Those are horrid to put over your ear and touching your face. I drank a lot of juice, slept sitting up. It's amazing what we do. And I know some of the ladies I have in here the hoods that go on and then come partially up. And I live in southern Nevada, so we don't get terribly cold here. But if you're somewhere that's really cold, something to protect when she goes out. Because even the fan on, the when the AC would kick on and just blow and touch my face, could floor me. And those are some of those things that are almost unavoidable when you're out. I was going to say, you'll know when you see me. I am the face of facial pain on today on Facebook on my profile because I'm trying, peeps. Yes. Yes, Andreas. Today is October 7th. Every year is Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness Day, and that's why I'm on doing this today. The whole month of October is Facial Pain Awareness Month. And so they have, for the different types of facial pain that there are. Also, our trigeminal neuralgia is a teal colored bow. So you'll see a lot of the teal. Uh, People just don't know about this. They say that there are 10,000 uh, new cases in the United States each year. I believe that it could be a lot higher than that. It's just that it goes undiagnosed. Dentists are pulling teeth, ear doctors are giving you antibiotics. Everybody's doing something, but they're not diagnosing it. I've got a hair across my face, I swear. It could just be that nerves, because as it's still healing, it'll give me funky sensations. Uh, exactly. Until you know someone that has it, you probably never heard of it. And when I got it and was diagnosed, and I was telling people, they're like, but here's the thing, I'm a very loud person, except when I would have a flare, I'd be very quiet. But I'm also not shy. So I told a lot of people about it. I've told a lot of people about the pain, uh, different things I tried, things that worked, things that didn't. And I would go to my car shows and smile and just try to get through it. And people would say, how are you today? Good. But I've never been quiet about it because I want more people to know it's out there. And everybody I tell, I figure then if they have someone in their family or themselves, they at least know it exists. And they can say, oh my gosh, I know somebody. Or That sounds like what Cheryl had. Call Cheryl, ask her. I'm all up for that. And yes, I understand your mother screaming in pain. I'm going to tell you this. And I know that sometimes people say screaming in pain because they're literally making the noise. What I found is to scream in pain hurt worse because it seemed to raise my level and use my energy. I I didn't scream in pain ever. I would lay in bed and try to relax, and tears would just roll because crying hurt, screaming hurt. But I know a lot of people, I know them from in the groups, the videos they put out, they are literally just screaming. And whereas me, instead of doing that, I just went, stone, don't move. And it really is that painful. It's not a, maybe you're overreacting. Are you sure it's that bad? Oh, I'm sure. Because pain doesn't bother me usually. I mean, it has to be bad. And this was something I couldn't handle. Because for me to go and take medication every day, and then add a second medication, and then still take pain pills, and then ask for another breakthrough medication, that's not me. I don't take medication. I'm not good at that. And so that's how much I wanted the pain to be gone. Is I was willing to take those meds, which I normally won't take an aspirin unless, you know, I think it's bad, which now I look back and I think, no, it wasn't so bad. It doesn't hurt as bad as my face hurt. In fact, since I've had the surgery and I haven't had the pains, we had a storm move through here recently. And I was sitting outside and I went, my face doesn't hurt. I couldn't be out here. I would have known early that a storm was pulling in because of the barometric pressure change in my face. And then I was out doing some other stuff and my knee hurt. And I've had a bum knee since I was a teenager. I'm like, my knee started hurting again. I don't think it started hurting again. I think the change in weather, my knee always hurt, but when my face hurt so much worse, I didn't notice my knee. So now I'm back to just having my knee pain, but that's okay. Knee pain ain't nothing. I can deal with that. And I'll pull up this. This isn't a very big picture, but it kind of shows where the trigeminal nerve is, where it goes. So basically, it is covering half your face. And it comes around back here because that's where they do the MVD surgery. And so it is half your face. And like I said, some people it just affects one little place. Me, it was my whole face. And so that's where it comes in that where you feel pain and where I feel pain may not be the same. Some people only have it feeling, they only feel the pain in one area. I had all of it. And there's no way you can do much with your face. It really doesn't work that way. Yeah, right now I went and I did have MVD on July 1st. So far I'm pain free. I mean, I still get shocks, I get itching, I get burning once in a while. My neurosurgeon said this is the nerve healing. It could come back. I could be right back where I was. So far, so good. Some people have MVD and it doesn't work. Some people have it in their 10, 20 years, pain free, med free. So far, I'm doing good. I just have funky feelings. But like I said, if my nerve is going to be funky, and it's going to give me I'm it was half my face right after surgery, and now it's just this portion. If it's numb, if it will itch for a little bit, if it does, I'm good. I don't care because I haven't been on any meds. When I got off my last medication, we cut off one medication right after surgery. The other medication I kept taking for a while after surgery so that it gave the nerve time to kind of adjust and heal. Then I cut it down and then I went completely off of it. When I went off that medication, that last dosage I was doing at night, I spent 4 days sweating, like pouring sweat, little bouts of diarrhea, nauseous. Oh my gosh. I thought I was going to vomit constantly. The spins, everything. I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but we figured it out. I was having drug withdrawals, and I wasn't on the dosages that some people are. I hadn't taken it as long as some people do. And that was a sure sign to me that the medications that you take for this really, really affect your body. And when you start taking them, you have to take them for a few days to build them up in your system. And then, say, in it seems like every couple weeks, they up your dose a little bit more. And then you're good for a while. And then in a month or two, they'll up your dose more. And then they add a second and they start doing that. And all of that junk was built up in my body. And when I finally cut it off, my body freaked out. But I'm good now. And I never thought I'd be one to say, I'm drug free. I am. Even though they were prescribed, and I wasn't even taking as much as they wanted me to take because I didn't like them. But I was taking what they prescribed. And here's another picture. This is the trigeminal nerve, and that's why you get so many different pains in so many different places, is right there. Because it's not just one little nerve. It covers the whole area. And when you get in and you right in here, you have a blood vessel that crosses the main portion. It can send that all over. And that's what mine was, is where it was located on this main piece. It covered every portion of that then branched out before it branched out. So I don't know exactly how it matters where that blood vessel exactly touches as to where you have your pain. I'm not a neurosurgeon, but I do know where mine was down near the base, and so it covered the entire nerve. Lucky me. I'm lucky though that I only had it on one side. I had pains on my other side, but I think they were a sympathetic pain because they weren't near as, they were just light. But I think it was a sympathetic pain because just like if you stick this hand under water, this hand feels funky because you didn't wet it. And that's a sympathetic nerve thing. And that's what I think part of mine was. This side, I would have slight pains in a sympathetic response to the overwhelming pain here. So that is, I hope some of y'all learned something. And Andreas, yeah, if you found me on Facebook, like I said, I will get you the groups that I belong to so you can help your mom find some relief, figure out maybe how you can help her. Nobody should go through this alone. But Like I said, I've been on this live for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I can tell you what, that is amazing, because I wouldn't have been able to do this before my surgery. In fact, I would try to do these shows, and if I could get an hour in, I would already be in excruciating pain over here, just hoping to get through before it got really bad. So thank you everybody for stopping in. Yes, message me on Facebook and I will hook you up. I'm very sorry your mother got this, because nobody ever, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. But there is hope. And the more you know, and the more we tell people about it, and I know a lot of the people in the groups have gotten tattoos. They wear the Trigeminal Neuralgia shirts, the hats, the cups. Just getting the word out there so if somebody can look it up. Somebody's got answers if we just kind of push them to look for them. So thank you everybody for stopping in. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll be back again. Be sure to hit the follow, because normally I just talk about products or I'm out at a car show. Today was a special day. And if you do have any questions about trigeminal neuralgia and want to find groups, or want to know, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor. I can only tell you my story. And send you lots of good thoughts to get your life back to normal. So thank you for joining. I appreciate it. And I will see you all again soon. And thanks to Dr. Anson and Southern Hills Hospital here in Las Vegas, I can come on here, talk to you. I can smile. And now I'm going to go eat something, because I can eat real food. So thanks. Have a good day. See you soon.